Welcome to episode 7, season 2. Unbelievable. I can't wrap my mind around it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I already see North Carolina, Texas, Mississippi, California, South Africa. I'm assuming our Australia contingent will be here soon. Thank you, everyone around the world, for joining us like you do every week. I'm Buddy Gibbons. Welcome to Groove Diner After Dark. I can't begin to tell you how gratifying it is to me to see all the comments that come through before the show really gets started, because I see everything that's going on and how much everybody likes the open music. Thank you for that. I'm really glad you do. That's some of the stuff that I've composed and played drums on through the years with various TV things. So if you happen to notice that stuff on television somewhere, then you know where it's coming from. So there you go. Iowa, we need a new pro baseball. Hey, man, I'm all for that because, I like to do a lot of baseball stuff. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you, I was thinking about something. I'm a big James Bond. Let me try that again. I'm a big James Bond fan. There, it came out that time. I've always liked it. Its campiness, its technology, all of just the way the installments work, the way they did the movies made everything kind of fantasy. But through the years, James Bond has taken on a different flavor with each different Bond, right? And I've been really intrigued by how Daniel Craig handled taking on that iconic role. And I think he was an amazing James Bond. So why am I bringing this up? We obviously finally got to watch the last installment of Craig's Bond this past weekend. Yeah, Toby, I know, right? It's hey, Justin, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much. I'm with regard to Bond, I find myself seeing how they are beginning to push forward and advance a different sort of James Bond. It was all wine and women and booze and all of that stuff in the 60s, which was lots of fun. And then the 80s came along and it was crazy space technology. Cold War was in full swing, Then fast forward to the 90s, where the criminally underrated Timothy Dalton did his part. He was so good, so much better than people give him credit for. And then we had the dark days of Pierce Brosnan. He was born for that role and just phoned it in. Anyway, but then the 90s came along, or the 2000s came along, and we get Daniel Craig. And what I like about it is that he took the Bond role and made it modern, pushed it forward and made it something that was relevant to modern times. And the 60s were modern when it was the 60s, just like today is modern today. That's profound right there. So I find myself thinking about how I stay relevant, just like they made Bond stay relevant in a new era. How do I do that? So that is something that I find really interesting, and I'd like to hear from you. How do you make your way to stay relevant in your own field? How do you do it? How do I stay relevant behind the drum set? It's a really challenging thing because I've been doing this professionally now for 25 years, I suppose it is, and it's really important to stay fresh, to stay on the front edge of things. But it's hard because, kids of the 80s loved their music, but their parents hated it. Kids of the 90s loved their music, but their parents hated it. Today, I don't really love pop music. It's not my favorite, current pop music. But guess what? I remember Johnny Carson's drummer, Ed Shaughnessy. He said in an interview that he would drive in his car and listen to whatever was popular at the moment. And he called it defensive listening. And I loved that. It gave him a point of reference so that he could stay fresh and understand what was happening in the music world. And that's what I'm trying to do now. How are you doing that? What are you doing to stay relevant, to stay fresh, to stay in front of the curve that's always sloping away from us? What are you doing for that? I'll be really interested to hear your thoughts on that as the show rolls on. Tonight's guest, Eddie Tuduri. If you watched last week, you know why we had to split this up into two. He and I had an absolute ball, and you're going to see that part 2 is probably even more fun than part 1. And part 1 felt like a party. It was so much fun. What Eddie did was he took the thing he had to do and he shifted, and you're about to hear his shift. And that's how he stayed relevant, how he stayed ahead of a curve. And he was throwing a very serious, sorry to mix my metaphors, curveball in 97. And you heard a little bit about that. but he's now moved forward into a completely new phase of his playing life, his career, even his real day-to-day life. And you're going to hear a whole lot more about that. And guess what? We even do a little bit of playing together this time. It's kind of fun. It was unexpected, impromptu, and Eli was with us that day, and he got in on the action too. So that was a lot of fun. Eli, hi. So it's good to have you with us tonight. I hope you're doing okay in Michigan. And we've got some newcomers I see. Bob Berge, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's excellent to have you from Telford, Pennsylvania. I'm almost going to have to put my glasses on to see that. Telford, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Reggie Doss, good to see you, my friend. To bond or not to bond? That is the real question, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, Justin, nice to see you in New York. I'm so glad to see everybody is representing. It's really awesome here. So many Ellie cousins. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see everybody. I see Kendall Johnson is here as usual. I'm so glad to have you here, my friend. Glad you like the music too, right off the top of the bat. So we're going to get this thing rolling. I'm going to throw a little merchandise at you. We'll be right back after this. This episode of Groove Diner After Dark is brought to you by Groove Diner After Dark, the store. That's right, starting with tonight's episode, you can tell the world of your love for Groove Diner After Dark by owning official Groove Diner After Dark merchandise. Coffee mugs, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, a pint glass, stickers, and much more can be yours today. Simply go to GrooveDinerAfterDark.com or click the link in this video description and get your gear today. Thank you for your support. I always remember that Bartles and James commercial from early 90s or something, where they end it with "Thank you for your support." I don't know why I did that in that voiceover, but I did because I think maybe I was channeling it. Anyway, thanks to everybody that has bought merchandise. We've sold quite a bit, and it's really awesome. It really helps us out a lot, so thank you for that. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Go to our YouTube page, which now is in fact youtube.com/Groove Diner After Dark. We got our name. So go over there and give us a subscribe and a like if you would. That'd be awesome. And don't forget to like and follow our Facebook page as well. There's Groove Diner After Dark Facebook page. So you can also do that. And if you'd like to follow my personal channels, you can find me there too. So it's always a lot of fun everywhere we go. Back to tonight's guest. He is someone that I just truly had a ball interviewing. Oh, how you doing, Eddie? He's here. That's great to see. I'm really, I said last week that it's really amazing sometimes that I get to meet legends of my own field, and he is certainly one. I've known of Eddie for a long, long time. I never got to meet him until we did this interview. And I didn't really know what to expect, but our mutual friend David Stanek connected us, and wow, am I grateful to David for that. Eddie has the greatest story, and don't forget the man can freaking play drums. He's a drummer's drummer, and it's tremendous to get to sit in the room and watch him do his thing. I'm going to play for you something that we did last week. The response to the video clip of him playing last week was really strong. Let me just say that people loved the video clip that we used last week. I got more commentary about that video clip than just about any other video clip that I've used throughout the course of this show. And I thought we'd just show it to you again because everybody loved it so much. It's worth seeing again. And then we'll roll straight into the second part of the interview, part 2 from last week, and I'll see you on the other side. So with all that happened to you, that then brought a new idea to you?
I knew this was going to happen from the minute my neck snapped, because when I was in the ambulance, I was, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
I can blink right, left, right, left. I can wiggle my ears,
Mm-hmm.
and I can talk.
So,
I can be of use.
So just so that I can inform the viewers here, the Rhythmic Arts Project is what we're talking about here, TRAP. And Eddie, you founded that.
I think it was born the minute my neck snapped.
Yeah.
When I got into the rehab, the first thing that came, I could wiggle my toe, I remember
Mm-hmm.
that, and then I could move this hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked my friend Greg to bring me some sticks and some percussion items to the hospital.
Sure.
So he showed up with a few things. So from the side, you know, the little railing on the side of your bed,
Mm-hmm.
right? I won't play loud, but from the side of the railing, I was going. I said, yeah, I still got it.
Yeah.
I'm just a head and one hand, but I got it. Yeah. So the guy who was watching us, taking care of us in the ward, Oscar,
Mm-hmm.
I said, Oscar, can you just do... He said, I think I can do that. And he did it on my food tray, right?
Right.
So I was going, you do it.
Right.
So now, Edith, who is in her late 70s, she had spinal cord surgery, big tumor. She was a poor woman.
Yeah.
And she said, Eddie, I want to play. She came rolling in from the other side of the ward. I said, okay, we had a cowbell. I never brought a cowbell to the hospital again. We gave her the cowbell, and I said, just play 1 and 2 and 3.
Right.
She couldn't get it. So Ted, who was in the bed next to me, long story short, he had pancreatic cancer, diabetes. He had a stroke when he was on the table. He got a motorcycle, and he says, I'm not dying, but just in case, he took his chemo pills and drove a motorcycle across country, saying goodbye to friends.
Right.
He got to Washington, D.C., went out, got drunk on the motorcycle,
Oh my God.
totaled the motorcycle, and broke every bone in his body.
Of course he did.
They pinned him all back together, sent him back here, and that's how he became my roommate.
Wow.
This guy was the bravest man I ever met in my life. He would say, get me out of this bed. I said, what are you going to do if you get out of bed? I'll crawl on the floor. I don't care. I want to get out of this bed. You know, I'm going to be fine. So he said, Eddie, I can play that part. I can do it.
Yeah.
So Oscar said, I don't know, man. I said, just put the cowbell on his chest. He only has one hand. Put a stick in the hand.
Yeah.
So he did it. So da 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 da. So he was.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So Edith said, but I still want to play, you know?
All right.
So I said, all right, just clap. So we had that.
Right.
So it was this
great.
groove, and these people are so incapacitated.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. So the nurses and doctors said, oh, they're going to throw us out. Oh my God, I'm in the hospital. I'm making all this racket. They loved it. They were dancing.
I bet they were.
So the light went off. Okay. And this was an ensemble, not I don't know what a drum circle is. I love drum circles,
Right.
but I don't know how to. I think
Facilitate one.
it wasn't that.
Right.
It was an entirely different aim.
Right.
You know, I have. Do you know who Scott Swimmer is?
I don't.
Oh, he's a great man. He has it's called Drum Strong, and he does the biggest drum circles in the world, and he raises money for cancer research.
All right.
We're doing one of those sessions I was talking about with Luis Conti and
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslip.
Yeah.
We're doing something for him right now.
Oh, nice.
At any rate, so I love drum circles, but the trap is not a drum circle.
Right. Right.
And from there, once I got up and was able to get in a wheelchair and starting to partake in all the other disciplines, we had a mat room. My friend Greg brought a drum set in, and I could pull up in my wheelchair. I didn't really have a left hand, but I could play the right hand and bass drum and that. And then I would have all these people that were like me in there. We'd have 8 or 10 people in there that were like spinal cord injuries and traumatic brain injury and all.
Tell me what trap is.
Well, to further this effort, I moved into a facility for people with developmental disabilities. I had never done that before.
Sure.
Wilfredo Reyes Jr. and Carl Perazzo and I did a clinic up at a hospital in the north, and I met a therapist who wanted me to come, and I went down there and I stayed there for 6 years.
Oh wow!
There and another place called the Ojai Enrichment Center and a couple of other places for people with disabilities. Another place for Alzheimer's. I really started branching out and writing the program. And I realized that teaching folks with Down syndrome and Fragile X and autism, any number of conditions in that vein, that they needed to learn about laterality. They needed to, because somehow they're a little bit clumsy, and that they're really not taught that, because people don't really center on things that TRAP does. TRAP talks about laterality and temporal organization, so we can get people working from both sides of the brain.
Interesting.
So using drum, actually my knowledge of the drums and musical notation, like people, when you and I learned how to count to 4, our teacher went 1, 2, 3, 4 on the blackboard, and we call it we followed 1, 2, 3, 4 on our yellow line paper, right?
Sure.
Folks with Down syndrome may not grasp conventional scholastics, so I drew a quarter note and I said, "Who likes rock and roll?" Everybody.
Of course.
Everybody. I don't care what their condition. They all like rock and roll.
Right.
So I said, "Okay, here's how I learned how to count. This is a quarter note. It's worth 1 beat." I remember I'd walk into that class every week and I'd say, "What's a quarter note?" No, there were 26 kids. 1 beat,
Nice.
And then I'd write 4 beats and I'd give everybody a djembe, and I'd say, "Okay, well, play this. Count to 4 and play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. They were looking at the chart.
Sure.
Right? Visual. Don't look at the drum as the drum, but the tactile component of the learning curve.
Right.
You're feeling the lesson. Actually feel it. It's a drum, so you hear it.
Sure.
And then you speak. So it's a multi-sensory approach, visual, tactile, auditory, combined with speech. This is a tactic to not only teach, but to retain the lesson. And it's fun. Why? Because it's a drum.
Yeah.
So we're not playing drums. We're using the drum as a tool to learn how to count, to learn how to spell. We get the class together. I say, everybody introduce each other like this. I'm Eddie. Right?
All right.
Buddy.
Right.
And we go around the room like that. So, okay, how about if we spell our names? E-D-D-I-E, B-U-D-D. So this is where spelling and this whole methodology took place with starting with counting, and then spelling, and then this is all encompassing turn taking and listening skills and working together as a team.
Yeah.
It's just stuff they never did before.
Wow.
Then they learn right from left. So you're looking at rudiments, basically, when you want to take it to another level, but you're going right, left, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, 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 right, right, all linear to begin with.
Right.
It's very difficult to do if you've never been taught that.
Sure. Did you come up with this program yourself and build upon it? That's absolutely
brilliant. I wrote the whole thing.
It's brilliant.
But I was in those classes and I had teachers.
And you saw a need and you filled it.
I was just following direction.
Fair enough. But it certainly has expanded well beyond just you. And it's trap.org.
It's traplearning.org.
Trap Learn. So if you'd like more information, traplearning.org.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. I was looking
There's
at
videos, all sorts of stuff. It's
yeah,
great.
you'll definitely want to check that
Very
out.
informative.
Well, thanks for that. 2 more things before we wrap up today. You've played with so many artists through the years. What's your favorite gig you ever did?
The Lincolns, the band in Canada, was a funk band, but
Yeah.
I think the band with Steve Perry and Tim Bogert
That'd be a good one.
and Denver Cross was called Pieces. It was glorious.
I can't imagine.
It was just, I'll play something for you later.
Please.
It's, it's a shame that we couldn't sell it.
No.
We had a great lawyer. We tried to sell it to a lot of people. Clive Davis came to Sound City where
Yeah.
we recorded Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin',
Right?
right? And he was sitting there and he listened to the beautiful sound come back and he
Yeah.
went, sorry guys, I just don't hear anything commercial. Steve Perry. So it was heartbreaking.
I guess it would be.
After that, I went to work with J.D. Souther on the
Mhm.
Hotel California tour.
Mm-hmm.
Tim moved to England, where he was pretty well known, and
Sure.
he joined a band called Boxer.
Okay.
And then I did this tour with the Eagles and with J.D. And the tour was almost over, and I get this call from England. It's him. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing this gig." And he says, "What are you doing with those country guys?" He's, "Stop that." He said, "Get on a plane and come to England." I said, "Okay, why?"
Yeah.
And he told me, and so I joined. I did. I finished that tour and got on a plane
Okay.
and moved to England. Right, and it was a band called Boxer. It was great.
Nice.
Chris Stainton
There's some
and,
pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
There, actually.
and Tim Bogert. And Tim,
Right.
that was a thrill playing.
That's
We
awesome.
played in 2 or 3 bands together.
Sure.
And there's nobody like Tim Bogert.
Sure. Sure.
There's never anybody like him.
Tell me about your tattoo.
My uncle had a star on his hand. He was a merchant marine.
Okay.
And when I was 5 years old, I remember I got a shoe shine kit for Christmas, and I shined his shoes.
Yeah.
And I was charging everybody a nickel, and he reached down. Remember, he's a real New Yorker.
Right.
And he reaches down, and there's a red star, and he says, "Yeah, here's a big nickel. Here's a quarter." And he put his hand down, and that red tattoo really stuck out.
Sure.
So years later, I ran into a friend of mine who was a big tattoo artist
Yeah.
in L.A., and I told him the story. He said, "Sit down, I'll do it right now." So I got the red tattoo.
Nice.
And then that wasn't enough. Because holding the drumstick in those
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
right, it all wore out.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked bad, and every time I went to another country or across a border, they would take my car apart or whatever. I said, "What?" Finally, I said, "What's going on?" They said, "Well, we're trained to look for things like that tattoo. It looks like you did it in prison." I said, "No, I've never been to prison, And they said, "Well, we're sorry." And they took,
Sure you haven't.
So years later, I went and said, I went to a tattoo parlor. I said, "Can you do something
Yeah.
like with a color that you can't get in prison that looks like, it doesn't look like I did it myself?" So he put the star and the moon.
Right.
And then at that time, everybody was saying, "So you're a Muslim?"
Right. Yeah.
I said, "What if I am?
Right.
I love Muslims.
Right.
I worked with Muslims in the Middle East. I love Muslims.
Sure.
What about it?"
Right.
It's not exactly what I said.
Sure.
So I had these 2 stars, though.
Right.
The next comment was, "Oh, that's communist." I said, so I had all these red, white, and blue stars done.
Yeah.
Now everybody goes, "Wow, that's really cool." And the kids like it
Of
because
course, yeah.
I'm playing, or even
Yeah.
the adults.
Right. Well,
So-
show the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, so-
finally, usually I ask a question. What's your favorite Rick Springfield song? I would rather have you tell me the story that you were telling me earlier about your experience with Rick Springfield.
I worked at Sound City a lot in the
Mhm.
beginning of Sound. In fact, myself and Ted Green, great guitar player,
I don't know
chord
Ted.
chemistry.
Okay.
He's amazing. He and bass player named Bobby Apperson. We did the first recording in Sound City.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joe Vieira produced it.
Yep.
Joey did drum drops. I did drum drops at 5 and 6.
Really?
Yeah. So I was working with a guy named Les Emerson, was from the Five-Man Electrical Band, which was Sign, everywhere, Sign. And I did the next couple of records after that, and he was also producing like the Cooper Brothers, and he was producing this young lady from Australia, and she had a friend. She said one day, you know, can my friend come in and watch the session? You know, he'd like to be a musician someday.
Yeah.
So everybody said sure, you know, and it was Rick and Jack White, who became Rick's drummer.
Yeah, sure.
And a friend of mine, you know, still to this day. So we let him sit in on the sessions, and that's how I met Rick.
Nice.
I did an audition for him. Jack left for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years later, but they didn't like my, you know, I was too funky.
Too funky, yeah.
I couldn't, Rick was very, very good, but very conservative in the middle of the beat, you know.
Sure.
Jack's great.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but not my cup of tea.
That's a really great story, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he married the receptionist.
Rick married the receptionist at Sound City.
That's so great.
I think he's still with her. I don't know. He doesn't talk to me anymore.
There you go. Here's another question. I'm curious about how you will answer this in particular, because you're contemporaries with so many people that my generation and whatnot will see as on our drumming Rushmore.
Right.
You are a contemporary of those folks. I'm wondering what your drumming Rushmore is. 4 guys. If you had to name 4.
If I had to name 4, it would be Joe Morello first.
Sure.
You know, and I got to meet and hang out with him once in New York. It was glorious. I told him how I felt about him, and he teared up.
Did he?
He was so humble.
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be him. And then there are so many people. I love Bernard Purdy.
Sure.
I love Vinny.
Sure.
And I love Gad. You know, those are the first 4 guys that come to mind. But there's at least 40 others.
Seriously, it's such a hard question.
I love so many drummers and people. I have so many great friends. The Reyeses, all of them.
Right.
You know, I mean, God, just so many great players. I don't know. That's a tough question.
It is, right? It really is. Even just trying to distill it down to 10 is hard, let alone 4.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Well, tell us about the artwork. There's some really interesting artwork on the walls over here. I think he's going to get a shot of this.
There's an 11-year-old boy with autism. That was his favorite. That was Ringo.
Right.
And the rest of this, they're from people with disabilities all over the world, from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And some of these folks, they paint all day, every day.
Really?
They don't necessarily have language skills or... Actually, I like to say they're far away. They're pretty far away.
Sure.
And but they have such beauty and expression and voice in their art.
Sure.
So that's what all of this is about.
Right.
You know, it's their expression, though. They may not express themselves in one way.
Yeah.
I mean, Dion is our favorite trap student. He's been with me. He and Karen, they've been with me. They both have Down syndrome.
Right.
Since the very beginning, back in...
Are they the ones in the pictures that I always see in the back of Modern Drummer?
Yeah, probably.
Back in the day,
Yeah, and Dion has... You would say he's low functioning in that he has the mentality of a 5-year-old, but he has the emotional intelligence of a 45-year-old.
There you go.
So he's got all these years of experience. All he has to do is look at you, and you melt. He's got such a big heart. And he's full of unconditional love.
Yeah.
So who's worse off here?
No kidding.
You know, I look like if I get to rub shoulders with those folks every day for the rest of my life, it's not enough time.
Right.
And I have new Dions.
Right.
I got a little guy named Benny right now. He and his mom and I are starting the school in Tucson. Right. It's what those drums are for. And it's a joy. You know, to be around them and to learn about unconditional love and about their faith and just the way they think and the way they act and the way they treat each other and the way they look at the world.
Right. Wow.
You know,
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think. I always leave people with, you know, live a life of service. You want to make a better life for yourself? Do something for someone else.
That's clearly what you have done, certainly since your accident, but before that as well.
Yeah, I guess so. But
Yeah.
I kind of learned that early on.
Well,
I
I
was
mean,
with
you were-
Save the Children, and then
Right.
I had an organization called Musicians for UNICEF.
Right.
300 people were involved. Most of the same guys that are still involved
There
now.
you
You know, so yeah, service is the key to success.
go. Well, if you were the UNICEF Volunteer of the Year in 1990,
Yeah.
that was a long time before your accident. So.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
I was with Save the Children before that.
There you go. See,
Yeah, that was a wonderful organization.
Live a-
Still is.
live a life of service. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I was telling him, not them.
Oh,
I really like that. I need
Yeah.
to tell them that.
okay.
Live a life. That's going to be my takeaway, I think, from this entire.
Live a life of service. It's really the key to success on every level.
That's.
And I walk away from those classes, I'm in tears.
I can imagine.
When I first went to Pasadena, I was driving down there from Carpinteria
Yeah.
every week, and it was like an hour and a half
That's
or
good.
2 hours.
That's a long drive.
On the way home, I would be teary-eyed the whole time, happy, tears of joy.
Sure.
Amazing. I just couldn't believe where God had directed me.
Sure.
It was glorious. Still is, every day.
I get that way about excellence. I watch the Olympics and every ice skater that
Oh.
I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
this past week I'm sitting there on the couch
Yeah.
with my wife crying over who completed the best quads.
Right,
You know,
right.
It just
I
that's,
love ice skating myself.
yeah, it's amazing to watch that stuff. But people who truly excel at things are such a deeply inspirational
Mhm.
part of my life.
Mhm.
And wow, do you now occupy that?
You know,
You are an incredibly exceptional man. You have lived the life of service that you just espoused, and not everybody can do that. That's absolutely phenomenal.
you know, thank you. It's like when you played with Abe, or when I played with
Yeah.
Brian Auger, or
Right.
with some of the really great players. They have that. Chris Pinnock is a guitar player, was with Chicago for
Yeah.
years. Chris and I played together for 50 years.
Sure.
When I'm in the band with him and listening to him play, there's such this greatness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being in a special place, you know, somewhere. Like when I was talking about Tim Bogert and trying to find a groove with the Pieces band, which was amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And Tim would play. I was used to playing with R&B bass players, which he can do very well too. But he was so out there. It was like we caught a groove in midair. In midair,
Yeah.
you know, you're playing and going, where is everything? Here it is.
Right.
It's up. It's right there.
Yeah.
You know, and so you reach up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you're playing in midair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I've had that experience where I feel like I'm looking down at myself.
Yeah.
Playing drums there's been a few times when I've been on a bandstand and I'm not in control of what's happening. You know, it's just being
Right.
part of the energy of it all.
This out of body
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of Brian Auger, his son Karma is going to be on the show.
Yeah. Ask him.
just a couple
Tell him I said
I
hi.
will
I
do
love
that.
that guy,
Yeah,
and he's a
great guy.
great player.
He's a great player.
And his father is one of the greatest musicians ever
Absolutely.
to ever live.
Did you go to the Keith Emerson tribute in Hollywood?
I didn't know.
It's been when he died.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Brian played Emerson's big thing. They had his whole setup.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think it was the El Rey.
Okay,
if I remember
yeah.
right, it was the El Rey. I don't know. It was one of the big theaters.
I'm not connected to LA much anymore.
Fair enough. Well, I remember seeing Karma playing with Brian that night and just kind of being blown away. So that
By
was
Karma,
yeah.
Yeah,
Karma
and the
was
nicest kid.
absolutely
Humble.
Yeah.
You try to compliment him, and he won't let you because he's busy complimenting you.
Right.
I mean, he's just that guy.
He
You know?
is.
His father is so nonchalant about,
Yeah.
you know, but to play with him, oh my God, it's just,
Yeah.
oh man.
I can imagine.
He sat in, the last time I played with him, I was playing with Rosemary Butler, and he was in the club, and we got him to come up and play.
Nice.
Oh man, I mean, you know, I've known him and played with him off and on when I lived in LA.
Sure.
You know? And what an honor to play with him.
Yeah.
People like him.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's another excellence you were talking
It is
about.
another
There it
excellence.
is.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So Eddie, tell us about the kit. It's definitely unique. So tell me about it.
When I became challenged, I asked my friends to build me a kit. Actually, John Good built the first one like this, a very lightweight and smaller, smaller drums. This is an 18 by 18, which you know, it's really, it's kind of like a little cannon.
It is a cannon.
You know. So, and this is a 10 by 5, a 12 by 6, and a 14 by 9, I believe it is. So they're, and I'm not playing with real sticks. They're
It
really
sounds great.
incredible for,
Yeah.
for the size of it. These are Ayrton's hoofs.
Right.
Now, you know, I love these.
Yeah, that sounds.
So the idea was to make the drums small and lightweight. And then the guys at Pearl, who are just super masterful and kind, and they have it all.
Sure.
You know Glenn Karuba
I do,
and
yes.
Steve Armstrong, Terry West, and Raymond Massey.
Yeah, I know Raymond too.
You see Raymond play?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh
Many
my
times,
God!
yeah.
I mean, he teaches Dennis when Dennis comes.
I'm saying, yeah. I saw him with the Wooten brothers multiple
Oh
times.
yeah, I played with the Wooten brothers.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, when I lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they put this together for me, and they've taken care. They also manufacture all the trap drums.
Right.
They did all the graphics in my books. They
kidding.
do advertising, and they take pictures, and
So they really take care of you.
oh, all the time.
Nice.
And we talk all the time. I'm sorry I missed them last year because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We usually spend a whole day together in Nashville.
Sure.
I'm going to do that as soon as I feel safe.
Yeah.
But they're like a family to me. Terry, whenever I write a letter, a newsletter, Terry West always looks, always reads it, always comments on it. People don't do that.
No, that's true. They don't.
People at that on that level they normally won't do that. So
Yeah.
these guys they're amazing.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
you know
fantastic.
Glenn.
I do very
Yeah,
well.
he's a great drummer.
He's a great drummer and a great human.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Glenn.
yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of us, I'm a Found Sound fan,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And one day I was out at my stepfather's workshop, and I was just doing what I do, hitting everything in the shop, and I ran across some saw blades, old ones,
Oh, okay.
7-inch ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started hitting them, bang, bang, and I found one, and I smacked it, and it went, "Wang!"
Right.
And then it went "Wang!" into one note. It went, "Wang!"
Oh wow.
And it's still to this day on my drum set. This is 20 years ago that we're
Yeah.
talking about. So all these really amazing found sounds. Tell us about Ayrton's thing there.
You know, he left this. I got to play with Ayrton in Florida too.
Sure.
But he's a big fan of the Rhythmic Arts Project. So is Flora. And he left them somewhere on. He left them for me,
Right.
or maybe he forgot them, and I just took them.
Let's go with he left them
Yeah.
for
Okay. But no, he knows
Of
because I've
course.
sent him.
you. Well, if he didn't before.
Yeah, he will now. Yeah.
So what are they? What are they actually?
They're like, I think they're bull or cow's hoofs.
No kidding.
Yeah. And they're just, I've never wanted anything on my hi-hat. You
Yeah.
know, guys put
Yeah.
tambourines
Jingles
and
sure.
jingles and stuff. This just doesn't really, it doesn't hurt the sound of it at all, but it
Yeah.
adds something
It
to
does.
it. That's a little extra.
Just a touch, right?
Yeah, so it just has it's just hardly noticeable, but it's there for me.
But
I
it's
hear
there
it.
for yours, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really amazing that you think that your hands don't work well. Because, man,
Oh,
you
wow.
play so great. You're such a
Yeah,
great player.
The best thing about this
Yeah.
is that this is Ayrton to me.
Of course.
We still talk. He's in Brazil now,
Right,
but,
right,
you know, and I follow them. Flora and I talk almost every week on the internet.
right. Well,
And I just feel like part of him is with me.
nice.
You know, a lot of percussionists I know are just like Luis Conte,
Mhm.
you know, is so Amo Richards.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, you
Yeah.
know, these guys are like, I don't know where they are. They're not like us. We play,
Right.
you know, they have everything they see and feel and look at. They can make a sound out of it, and they can, you know, it's so rich.
It is.
It's rich.
Mhm.
You know, like I said about Ayrton, you could just pick up anything off the floor and
Yeah.
make it sound.
Did you know Tom Rohde?
Oh yeah,
Tom, he was one of my
Yeah.
favorite humans.
yeah, I loved him.
He was such a great guy, and he took me under his wing a bit when I moved to Nashville. We
Oh,
just,
right, yeah.
We just met each other, and he helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And he was one of those guys. He could pick up those two pieces of paper and make it sound like a drum set.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never
know.
understood how he did it, but wow, could he?
yeah, he was a great guy. It was a tremendous loss.
It was.
Yeah, I knew him from L.A.
Sure.
Yeah,
I knew him in Nashville, and he was just a really great guy to me.
everybody loved him everywhere he went.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time
Oh, yeah.
and for the stories. I really wish you guys could hear the stories that were off camera. We're going to have Eddie back next year for sure, and we're going to have a whole lot more conversation
Yeah,
about
okay.
a whole lot more gigs.
Okay.
For sure. I'm definitely interested. Maybe you guys can come down to my spot.
I will. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
That'd
yeah.
be fantastic to have you down there.
Okay. This
So-
is great. I'm having a great time today.
I'm too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
very much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. All right. Well, that wraps it up from Santa Barbara.
Yeah, how'd you like that?
Right. All right. So thanks again, Eddie, for having us out here in Santa Barbara. And that's all for today. We're going to do a little playing.
Want to play this one?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll play these.
Oh, okay.
Where were we? Oh, what happened to my cymbal?
I mean, come on, you know, what did you do on a random Monday a couple of weeks ago? I don't know, got to sit down and jam a little bit with Eddie Tuduri. Come on, man. Thank you again, Eddie, for being with us. That was so much fun. That was truly one of the best and my favorite interviews that I've ever done on the show. If you didn't catch part one, be sure to go back to the archives on YouTube and check it out. You're going to want to see that because the list of people that Eddie has played with through the years will just, you know, he's part of the soundtrack of our lives, and don't overlook that. Of course, I said it in the interview that the big takeaway was live a life of giving, and he kept saying, you know, giving is the key to living a full life, and that's exactly right. Giving back is everything. I certainly try to do my share of that, and I'm sure that you do as well. But if you weren't inspired to do it before, maybe you are now. Being around Eddie was such an incredibly inspiring thing just because I freaking liked him. He's so much fun. He was exactly that guy off camera that he was on camera, and that doesn't always happen that way. So yeah, anything you can do to help out the Rhythmic Arts Project, check out that website again. Here is his book, Hey, Take a Look at My Life. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. It's a great read. It's very, very slim book. This is not, you know, Balzac or something that's going to make you, you know, have to read for days. But it's well worth your time. You can get it on Amazon.com. And I'm sure that we're going to put up a link for that here in just a minute. Thank you to Dan East for taking care of all that stuff for me. You're going to want to get this. It also helps support the Rhythmic Arts Project when you make this purchase. So give it a look. There you go. There's that link right there. I knew it would pop right up. So again, thank you to Eddie for being with us this week. It was a real pleasure. Now, moving on. I don't know about you. I can't even move on yet. Hold on. From last week to this week, 1 week. It just seemed like it was 2 months between part 1 and part 2 because I was so excited to get to part 2. And now you know why. Okay, I'm done now, I think, talking about all of that. It was a great thing. If you have any thoughts or questions, Eddie is here with us on the comments, so feel free to hit him up right now, hit me up right now, and we will certainly get to those questions and comments here in just a few minutes. I'm going to take a quick moment here, though, and show you something interesting, something brand new that's happening here at the Groove Diner. Hey, look at this. There's some changes coming at the Groove Diner. Spent a little time at DW today, and they gave me all these boxes. I wonder what's inside these boxes. I'm a big fan of 10-inch drums.
Let's see what we got.
Ooh, dude, look at that. Oh, dude, that's insane. In case you're wondering, it's broken glass. That's what this finish is.
That's sweet, dude. Wow.
I already like this. It's not even out of the box, and I like this already. Oh man, come on.
Unbelievable.
I've always loved this finish, and now I certainly know why. Look at that. That is just madness. It is an all maple shell. This is the collector's maple shell. The standard collector's maple, though there is no real standard. And it's this is the kit that I used with the Dodgers. They refinished it for me. That's actually what this is. And I'd always wanted a different finish, and boy did they knock it out of the park with this. Oh, look at that. Oh man, 9x13. So here's another oddity of mine. I love 15-inch floor toms. 15s fit that little sonic spot right in between the. It's like I like 8, 10, 13, 15 a lot, and that's actually what the ultimate sizing of this is. I have an 8 here, which I'll show you in a minute. But 8, 10, 13, 15 fulfills super high notes to super low notes because typically 15s are great at the low 16-inch kind of thing, but they don't take quite as much sonic space. I just love them, and I think that's the Steve Gadd influence. He was a 12, 13, 15 player. So cute.
Aww. It's very cute. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And finally, the 16x60. Of course, I'm already a member of the DW family, but still. Machine washable polishing, and then every drum key that you can imagine, which is really cool, and memory locks, spare tension rods of varying lengths, all true pitch 50s. Let's see. So what do we have? We have a speed key. Let's go with the speed key. I cannot wait to get this set up. In fact, let's do that now.
What is it, a 22?
Yeah, this is a 22x18. I still like the deep shells. I know that people are going to 14-inch depths, but I'm a big fan of the 22x18. The depth gives it a really nice boom. Eight by 10.
Ooh, that looks so cool.
like the idea of a white front head on this.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so here we are, Eli. We talked about it, and now here it sits in the
After
rack.
weeks of talking about it,
Perfect. Yay! We have a new drum set here at the Groove Diner. I hope you enjoyed that unboxing vid. Eli put that whole thing together. Holy cow, right? In case you were wondering, yes, you were listening to that very kit, this very kit that I'm sitting here. That's what you were listening to through that whole video. That piece of music was composed, and I played this kit on it. So you have now heard it and seen it, so you know how good it sounds and how good it looks. I'm loving this kit. Toby, you asked me the question, did someone buy the other one? No, they did not. It's sitting right over here. I've been talking to some brokers about it, but that kit is in fact for sale. If you're interested in it, let me know. Absolutely. With the full knowledge and permission of DW. So no worries there. Alan Mazer, welcome to the show, man. Charles, good to see you. I hope everything's going well for you down in South Africa. Veronica, thank you so much for joining us from Australia. It's always great to see you here. Who else is here tonight that I have not already said hello to? It's been a busy night, my goodness. So Dan's making fun of me here. Yes, I am in fact enamored of this kit. I do love this kit. It's so much of what I have been wanting for such a long time. Oh my goodness, I really like it. I love how it looks. I love how it plays. I love how it sounds. This past weekend, I had a few guys over, and everybody came in and did some jamming together, and they were all like kind of knocked out by the sound of this kit, with good reason. This is a very, very good sounding drum set. So yeah, it's kind of amazing. Hey, there's Terrence. Good to see you, Terrence. Yeah, you will see me here in just a few weeks, won't you? Good to see you here, though. Thanks for joining us. Well, tonight we wrapped up a great two-parter with Eddie Tuduri. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe over on YouTube. Thanks for those of you that have joined us on YouTube and on Twitch. It's been a tremendous night. Our audience has been growing week over week over week. We're pushing that 20,000 thing really hard now. So thank you to everybody that's joining us. Next week, I see Toby's asking me already. Next week, my dear friend Renee Beavers will be here live in the studio with me. We're going to do this one live, so have your questions ready to ask him. It's going to be a fantastic time. He's been on the road with blues legend Coco Montoya for 10 years. So he's got some stories. You're gonna really like Renee. He's one of my favorite people, and somebody that you're gonna want to get to know. I think he may have even joined us tonight. He often joins us here at the show, but you're gonna enjoy getting to know Renee a little bit. And like I say, he will be here live, so you can ask us questions as we go. Don't miss it. All right. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you again this week. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next week.